there are so many seasons and so many reasons to celebrate across South Louisiana that it seems like someone's always popping open a bottle of champagne or opening up the liquor cabinet. And sometimes we've probably all been there when it has caused chaos. So Dr. Nick is joining us to help us take our own temperature on that and of those around us.
My band played at the Irish Club's party a few weeks ago, and the alcohol was flowing. And I remember thinking of the movie in terms of endearment, where she said, you know, I'm not an alcoholic, I'm Irish. and that night at the Irish Club Fest, I was thinking, is this Irish or are we in Southeast Louisiana? Because I think it's true. I've traveled enough to know this is a very alcohol-induced culture.
Yes. Yes.
There's alcohol, there's always alcohol.
You're right,
There's always alcohol.
And so if you're somebody who doesn't drink at all, it must be very difficult. But for those who do, there's always, we just need to keep restraint, perhaps. In
Self-restraint, and people around us that will help us see our behaviors when we have hit the limit or gone beyond the limit. Because let's be realistic, Whitney, our personalities can change. Some of us become happy, some of us become more fun, some of us slur and get kind of sloppy and not quite sure, you know, where they're going, and then others can become mean.
You know, something that I see often is that a lot of people get really happy for a little while, but they're trigger happy on the anger button. It's like they can go from being the life of the party and having a great time to one person says one thing and it's atomic.
Yes. Well, it's interesting that you bring that up about the anger. I don't have anything to base this on, but I've often wondered if how we approach the alcohol, the mood that we're in when we approach the alcohol. Okay, because alcohol is a disinhibitor. It disinhibits. So if I go to drinking and I'm already in a bad mood, it's very possible that it's going to take me into a worse mood. I just wonder about these things. I've never been able to figure out why some people just become so mean and aggressive, but it's a disinhibitor. And I think part of the problem that we experience, particularly married couples, is that their anger can come out in alcohol. Right. That doesn't necessarily come out when we're sober. But I think we have to make some clarity, because there's this notion, and it may be true, that, well, the truth comes out when we've been drinking. Well, I don't know that that's completely fair. It's more of where we are at the moment.
Okay.
And what we're experiencing. Does that make sense?
Sure, because I certainly said things before, you know, after a few drinks that I wouldn't have otherwise.
Or wouldn't pattern wise. You don't have a pattern, I don't think, of becoming aggressive. We're looking for the patterns that can really be so harmful. And that's why, and you know, in these seasons, wherever they are, be it Mardi Gras or Christmas or just an anniversary or football,
sure.
Don't you notice that sometimes we find ourselves, oh, what's he or she going to be like today? Yeah. And then I ask myself, gosh, I hope when I'm drinking, I'm with safe people like yourself who will say, Nikki, you've had enough.
Right.
Or you can't drink this anymore.
Not another.
Which you've done.
Oh, yeah.
But that's where the power of group. But see, that's kind of safe drinking. But I think we need to also talk about the fact that sometimes, Whitney, we have to accept the fact that we're powerless over alcohol and that our life has become unmanageable.
Oh.
Now, there's a problem drinking, there's a social drinking, but then there's really that I'm over the edge. I drink every weekend till I can't function.
Or I drink every day.
Every night, and because that's the only thing that will get me to sleep. Or I can't seem to get to work and even meet appointments because I've had too much to drink. The unmanageability is what we're looking at.
Okay.
And I think that's an important gauge for us to always be asking others, and having, again, those people around us that help us. Our life seems to be unmanageable. I can't stop it. I can't find something else. I know and that you told me once you started drinking some wine at dinner.
Yes.
But you caught it. And pardon me for if I'm
Oh,
invading
no,
your
that's okay.
personal
No,
space.
then it started to be a glass of wine tonight.
But you said to me, I caught it. See, that, it didn't get to unmanageability.
Right, right.
But
you know what? Also, I'll say, you know, my husband said something to me about it.
You did tell, but isn't that the power of a feedback system?
Yes.
Of someone who cares enough, and then you didn't get all defensive.
No, I listened.
You
and
listened.
I thought, I know that was hard for him to say. Because he doesn't, you know, usually do things like that. So I really did have to take a look at it.
And there's the power of, again, respectability of other people's space. We don't want to, it's not about shaming someone.
Right.
You know, with any intervention, it's not about shaming, it's about trying to get people to see that they're powerless and unmanageable. And then lastly, I just want to give a word of like, please, there's nothing wrong with 12-step spirituality. It's very powerful.